Greetings and welcome, all you caped crusaders and heroes of the night. I was browsing the shelves at my local half-price books, who they're not a sponsor, but they should be. I mean, I buy a lot of movies from them. But while I was exploring, I came across all 4 of the 90s Batman movies, and I obviously bought that as it is a piece of my childhood, and I couldn't wait to re-explore it. So for today, we are starting in 1989 with Tim Burton's movie Batman, starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. I have some thoughts on this movie, and some of them I feel go against the popular opinion, but we will get into all of that because this is Redeye Reviews. Okay, before we get into opinions on where everybody falls in the list of greatest Batmans or villains or whatever, we will get a plot synopsis. It's a tale as old as time. Parents get murdered, child has a psychotic break, dons a costume, and runs around at night. As Gotham City reaches its bicentennial, Mayor Borg orders Harvey Dent and Commissioner Gordon to make the city safe. Meanwhile, reporter Alex Knox and Vicky Vale look into reported sightings of the Batman. Both attend a fundraiser hosted by billionaire Bruce Wayne, who, if you don't know by now, he's Batman. Bruce grows a crush on Vicky, but after overhearing a meeting with Gordon, he leaves on official Bat business. Mob boss Carl Grissom sends his slightly crazy partner Jack Napier to raid Axis Chemicals. Unaware, Grissom planned an ambush to have him murdered for sleeping with his mistress. Ugh. Although the corrupt police lieutenant arranges the hit, Gordon shows up, takes command, and orders him to be captured alive. Batman shows up to prevent Jack's escape. Jack shoots Eckhart, but falls into a vat of chemicals himself, presumed to be dead. However, he does survive, but is left disfigured, with a white skin, green hair, and a permanent smile. This pushes him over the edge into insanity, and he calls himself the Joker. The Joker murders the mob boss Grissom and takes over the criminal organization. The Joker starts terrorizing the streets of Gotham through hygiene products that are laced with Smilex, a deadly chemical that kills you with laughter and puts a permanent grin on your face. The Joker falls in love with Vicky as well and lures her to the Gotham Museum of Art, where he and his men destroy the art inside. Batman shows up and saves her, escaping the Joker and his men in his famous Batmobile, before taking her to the Bat Cave. A lot of bat stuff. He gives her his research on Smilex to help her warn the city. Bruce visits her at her apartment and wants to tell her that he is Batman, but is interrupted by the Joker. Bruce avoids being killed by acting like an actual psychopath.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
But then remembers that the Joker was the one who killed his parents. Vicky gets taken to the Batcave by Alfred the butler, and she learns the truth. And doesn't react much, but that's okay.
Tell me if I'm crazy.
Bruce reveals he can't focus on their relationship while the Joker is still at large, so he goes to destroy the Axis plant that creates Smilex. And if we have an issue with Ben Affleck using guns as Batman, well, Michael Keaton blows up a factory full of people. Meanwhile, the Joker throws a big parade where he throws money at all the city folk before releasing a large amount of Smilex in his big parade balloons. Batman takes the Batwing, that somehow has the perfect balloon catching equipment on it, and saves the city. However, the Joker shoots the plane down and kidnaps Vicky into the Gotham Cathedral. Batman follows them in, a few fights happen, he saves Vicky, and while the Joker attempts to run away in a helicopter, he gets tied to a building and it pulls him out of the sky and he falls to his death. The movie ends with Commissioner Gordon announcing they arrested the rest of Joker's men and have made a deal with Batman, that if they ever need him again, to activate the new Bat Signal. And end credits. Now let's start with the city of Gotham, because that is my favorite part of the movie. It is a very, very hard thing to do to replicate a comic book city. We have seen the world of Asgard with Thor or Aquaman's home in Atlantis, and there's nothing wrong with these worlds and depictions on screen. However, despite being so very large, we see very little of these environments. We get like throne rooms and hallways mostly. I bring this up because I feel this movie has done a great job building the atmosphere of Gotham City. And yeah, you can argue it's based off of a human city like New York. And I mean, yeah, of course it is. But Tim Burton did such a good job with this sort of like 1940s film noir atmosphere. We have our gray-colored mobs of businessmen going to and from work, our skyscrapers that dangerously climb into the heavens, the factories, the plumes of smoke, the churches, museums, mansions, just all stylized perfectly, and sets the tone of this movie, and it carries throughout the entire film. This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I find this Gotham City much more engaging than Christopher Nolan's Gotham, which might as well have been New York City. But Tim Burton shows us the decaying of society and the worker drones without purpose or structure. And I can't really give Tim Burton all the credit for this, as his work with production designer Anton Furst is the reason this vision came to the screen. But with this mismatch of architecture, the waste, the steam, it creates kind of a believable world that the Joker could absolutely take over with a strong drive or any form of incentive. Now, the reason most people consider this the worst Batman movie is for Michael Keaton and his portrayal of Batman. But if you would allow me to change your mindset for just a minute, I would argue you can't rank this Batman with any other Batman. And if you must know, my favorite Batman is Val Kilmer. Yeah. But I'm biased because I grew up watching those movies instead, so take that with a grain of salt. But Keaton's Batman really does stand alone. It's not only iconic, but it tells a different type of person entirely. Because in almost every superhero movie that DC or Marvel has ever made, our heroes are usually popular, attractive, smooth, muscular, like literal models. And they can joke at times, they can even lose fights, but they never look foolish. They never look dumb. And you never question their morals or their mindset. They are like the definition of heroes. Now let's look at Michael Keaton's Batman. He is none of these things. He is awkward. He is clumsy. He is not a good fighter. And he is so self-conscious and vulnerable.
He's psychotic.
Some people say the same thing about you.
What people?
Okay, so what is he then? Well, he's a billionaire with a lot of mental health problems and free time.
Do you like eating in here?
You wanna know the truth? I don't think I've ever been in this room before.
That's our hero. But what I love so much about this movie is they challenge you to think about Batman. Is he all there? Isn't it kind of weird that he dresses up like a bat and runs around beating up bad guys? Not only that, but at the beginning of the movie, he sees these people get mugged, and he follows the bad guys, beats them up, and then just leaves.
I'm Batman.
He doesn't return the money to the family, doesn't really teach any lesson. He just uses some fancy toys and then just kind of runs away. Even in Michael Keaton's own words, he said that you can't take this Batman too seriously because there's something very off about him. I mean, he sleeps upside down like a bat, or his bat cave has actual bats in it. Like, he really isn't of sound mind. Now, to defend Keaton a bit more, some people call his performance kind of flat or with little emotion. But again, I would argue psychopaths don't really display proper emotion anyways. And realistically, the bat suit was actually made of rubber and it covered Keaton's ears, which according to him made it almost impossible to hear anything, and Keaton also suffers from claustrophobia. However, he uses all of this for his character, as he wanted to appear more withdrawn from the world anyways. And my final defense of Keaton is he invented the deep voice thing. Yeah, that was Keaton. He thought if Batman's voice sounded normal, it would be super easy to discover he is the ever-popular Bruce Wayne. So he deepened his voice, and that has been used by Kevin Conroy and Christian Bale. So I would say if you like Bale's Batman, you kind of have to thank Keaton in a way. Now, if we talk Batman, of course we have to talk Joker. Jack Nicholson's Joker is iconic. I would put it in the top 3, I would say. And yeah, I told you my favorite Batman, so if you must know, my favorite Joker is Mark Hamill from the animated series. Now, don't get me wrong, don't delete whatever comment you're about to make. Obviously, Heath Ledger's performance was incredible. I'm not saying that. It is what we all think about when we think Joker. But I would say Mark Hamill has absolutely earned his spot at the top for very obvious reasons. But we can talk about that later. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Jack Nicholson. And he, I think, did a pretty fantastic job. And he has a great Joker laugh to boot. Nicholson himself liked his own performance so much that he would watch this movie every week for literal months on end. And to top it off, this brilliant actor wrote his contract in a way to receive a percentage of the gross earnings on the film, which means in 1989, he took home $60 million, which is insane. Still in the top 10 for highest paid roles. Now, I was curious where he was in that ranking, and I did learn of all things Will Smith is at the top for Men in Black 3. Yeah, I kid you not. He did a similar deal, and he earned $100 million for that movie. Anyways, the Joker. Jack Nicholson's Joker steals the movie. He steals the whole show, I would say. I don't think you can argue that he is the best part of this movie, hands down. And I know I just offended Keaton's Batman, but the Joker's amazing. His sense of humor is all over the place. You never know what is going to make him laugh. And I personally had such a hard time guessing what he would do next, or how he would act, what he would find hilarious, what he would not find funny. And I think that's the point, because he's the definition of chaos, completely unpredictable. And I think that's what the Joker is supposed to be. He has his motives, his drive, his plans. He's intelligent, sure. But at his core, he is chaos, which is what makes him the perfect villain for somebody like Batman, who is so calculated. He calculates his every move, he plans his every gadget, and you can't really do that against the Joker. And now, yeah, Jack Nicholson himself is rather full of himself and a rather ego-heavy actor, and I think that actually plays well into the character.
You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses on, would you? Huh?
Okay, now let's do a bit of trivia and then we can get out of here. There are several scenes the Joker has to apply makeup to look quote-unquote normal, but obviously the white is painted on as well. So how do we achieve the effect where we can wipe away one layer of makeup and not wipe away the white paint underneath? Makeup designer Nick Dudman painted him with white Pax paint. He then put food-grade silicone oil all over his face, took some flesh-colored grease paint that was just barely hanging on to this silicone oil, kind of tied that all and glued it all together with some airbrushing. And then finally, the Joker's handkerchief was dipped in isopropyl alcohol so that he could wipe the grease paint off his face, but leave the white Pax paint underneath intact. Brilliant technique. And the Batmobile. Obviously, I'm talking about the Batmobile. It's amazing. Probably in my top 3 Batmobiles created. Maybe the best. You can argue that one with me in the comments. I might take it back, but it's awesome. This Batmobile was built from a Chevy Impala chassis. They then took the engine of that Impala, the taillights of a Ferrari, some fuel caps off London buses, the jet engine turbine from a Harrier jump jet, and the sliding cockpit design of a fighter jet as well. And right before they started filming, art director Terry Ackland Snow, that's his last name, sorry, Ackland Snow is his last name, added some headlights from a Honda Civic, of all things, after noticing them on his own wife's car. Yeah, it is a Frankenstein mobile, and I think it's amazing. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be doing the other 90s Batman movies soon, because Danny DeVito as the Penguin is literally the best Batman villain ever, period. And I'll get into that. But with that, please subscribe if you haven't, like the video, put some comments, argue your Batman and Joker stuff. I'm sure you guys have opinions. We will see you on Thursday, and until then, stay happy and stay healthy.